Hi, thank you very much for joining this video. I'm just going to go through 10 fragrances that are my personal ones in my collection, that are my top 10. Quite hard to do, to be honest, to rank your own fragrances, particularly when you kind of like them all. But anyway, I sat down the other day and I kind of just went through them all with a bit of sample. I know what they're all like anyway. A few of these are new to me this year. Because I've decided to get back into fragrances. And I've not really been heavily involved in it since probably sort of mid 2000s. Sort of probably got out of it about 2009 after school. For me was kind of that's what it was. And basically, you could argue I found my signature that I wore for the best part of over a decade now. And I've never really considered, oh, I need to try something else, right? I've literally, because of that, and that was Chanel Platinum Egoiste. Spoiler alert. Anyway, so going from number 10, which isn't that's not number 10, but it is on this list. We were going to go down basically just from 10 to 1. Something I went through the other night. I've got a list in front of me here. I've got a bonus one. I've got a few that haven't made the list, which is a bit of a problem because I think they're still good. And so I've actually brought one out here. I could even say it now. We can start off with it. And it's called Enjoy Custo Barcelona. This one was gifted to me by my mother. Bless her heart. I don't know. I particularly think it was her that had a choice behind this. This doesn't smell like anything else I've really had. Parma Violets. Can we get the focus on it? It's kind of focused, bit of a hard bottle to focus on there. I believe this is a Spanish scent. They got this when they went to travel to Lanzarote, and yeah, just gifted this to me. At first, I didn't know what to think of it. I was like, really, because it's very different. But no, I haven't worn this year, I guess. But if I was to go to a job interview, and I've always worn this to job interviews. It's very florally. Typically done well. Well, the last few job interviews that are a bit more serious. It's a very laid back fragrance. Very calming, I'd say. Very calming. Hard to really pitch on that though. That's not number 10. That's not number 1. It's just there. I like it, but I don't really know how the best way to sort of describe it would be. I'm sure there's other stuff like it. I'm sure there's probably some expensive stuff like it, but there we are. Okay, so what was number 10? Number 10 was, I've got Cool Water here, but I thought that was mean, and I've put something else in the top 3 instead, so that list is wrong. Ralph Lauren Polo Sport. Ah, well, there we are. That's a, that's a throwback, I'm sure. Why? And you'd be like, ugh. Some people will probably be like, ugh. I tried to get this. This is, I believe, a bottle from the period, from the sort of 90s. This is a 90s smell. I got this because this was like one of my brothers, who's about 7 years older than me. This was one of his first scents he got. And I just remember at the time, I loved this. I thought this smelled really good. My family has always been big on sort of fragrances, but this really kind of stood out when he wore it. At the time, I believe he went on a skiing trip. He was into his snowboarding and stuff like that. And obviously, I was into my rugby and things like that. So we're quite sporty at the time anyway. But yeah, I think he easily wore a bottle of this, and I always used to steal it. But yeah, basically, I came to this probably a number of years ago where I haven't always had this. And it came to me a couple of years ago when I was in one of my last jobs in sales, and I basically wanted to get hold of this again for like the summer. And this it's timeless to me. I think you have to probably appreciate it of the era. It's basically Cool Water. It's like an old version of Cool Water, and we're gonna have to leave it there. I'm gonna try not to yap too hard on this because I'm sure we've already been like 4 minutes. It's not bad. That's pretty much on par. Okie dokie. I've got Azzaro Chrome. I actually featured this one on the channel. It's one of the few I've already covered over. I don't know if I would retouch on it. Maybe in a number of years I would. I got this, and I still probably got a sample. I got a load of free samples of this back when I was adventuring into fragrances in the early 2000s for me. And I was probably like 16, bearing in mind. I got a load of free samples of this, and I got like 5 or 6 of them. And I remember I enjoyed it, but not enough at the time. Like when I had like Tommy Hilfiger and other things at the time, I had more Hugo Boss and things at the time, which there isn't like this. What is this like? I came to terms with recently. Was it this? No, be careful here. No, I'm not going to say what I'm going to say because that's incorrect. Anyway, it's got a little bit of Azzaro pour in it, a little bit, but only a little bit. And the fact that it has got a little bit and then gone off in a completely different tangent is great. Really good. Again, I haven't worn that much recently. So I've only got a little bottle like this. I've never worn it too much. I used those samples for a long time. They were seemingly endless. But yeah, it reminds me of that early 2000s period. I said it reminds me of a video game called Mirror's Edge. Probably leave it there. The next one, this is new. And I should really rush downstairs, actually, and stop this video and go and get the other one, but whatever. Azzaro pour Homme. I took the lid off. The lid's probably a bit more iconic. I got this recently on a Black Friday sale. Is that a thing? Black Friday? I can't remember. The winter sale, basically. I got this on that, and it was mainly due to interest from the Chrome. And then I basically looked at this, and I was like, "This is really well reviewed online." I got it. I say in one of my deals recently, and I was very happy with it. And I've worn this quite a bit. I don't love it, but it was instantly, oh, I recognize that, but I couldn't really tell why. My dad's got an original bottle of it. He brought it out the other day. The original bottle looks very different to this. He's only got a little bit of it left, but yeah. So so obviously my dad enjoyed it. His version smelled a lot better, I will say. It's similar, but his smell a lot better compared, a lot more musky, which is and just manly. I don't know if that's how it was and it's changed, or people say it changes. I don't know. Anyway, but yeah, that was really nice. To me, I guess I'll say it on when I want to say it on what I want to say about that. I will bring that up if I can remember coming later on. Davidoff Hot Water. Again, I got this very cheap. Well, like 100 mils, very cheap. And this is kind of when I was coming back into this. Oh, this is still very nice. People don't really seem to think this is that big of a deal. I thought this would be better reviewed than it is, to be honest. It's a pretty much do-it-all scent. I'm going to review a lot of these on the channel, and this is one of them. And this one I've tested quite a bit. And I think I came to conclusion, I think it's kind of more of an intimate scent, basically, down to it. It's hard to say that with the cliche of the bottle, but I think that's basically what you're going for here. I think that's its best. I think that's its best uses in an intimate setting. I wouldn't even say it's a good date night fragrance. However, it could probably do everything. It could literally probably do anything. It could do date night. It could do out to dinner. It could do formal, casual, maybe even leaning into summer, to be honest, because it's got like the best of. It's got like the best of like cool water, in my opinion, but it's a lot warmer. But it's without being too like heavy on the silage sort of side of things. It's still quite nice and airy. I like it. I'm surprised it's not better reviewed. This is an interesting take. This is the one that got me back into fragrances and why I'm even doing this video in the first place. Because if this wasn't even half interesting, then I wouldn't be talking about it. Davidoff Cool Water Street Fighter. I got this because I thought it was funny. I looked up and I think it got recommended on eBay. I was like, Davidoff Street Fighter Eau de Toilette. I was like, no way. I'm going to try it. And lo and behold, it's really nice. You can see I've rocked this quite a bit recently. I bought this earlier this year. It was 2021. But this has actually turned into one of my favorite fragrances. It doesn't last very long. But yeah, by all means, this has actually sort of blown me off my feet. And I had a really hard time not putting this in the top, to be honest with you. Just because of its price point and stuff. I believe it's discontinued, but you can still find bottles. I want to kind of get some extra bottles of this low-key, because I think that might be quite expensive in coming years. I think it's nice. It's a cheap enough to try it. If you can find it and you're even half interested in even being Street Fighter, then I think you'd probably enjoy it. I don't know why I put this one this far down, because as I said at the beginning of the video, this was my signature scent. This is Chanel Platinum Egoiste. Hands down. I was thinking earlier, I won't bother with Chanel Platinum Egoiste anymore because I've got the Street Fighter I prefer. I wore this again the other day. This is a brand new bottle, there enough. I've already destroyed like a 50ml bottle I've had for years, so this is brand new to me. Basically, I only opened it earlier this year, but I've barely worn it. If I could, this would be my number one, but it's very hard for me to rank them. But with all means, if you were to say, get rid of everything I've got and just be left with one, this is it right here. This is it right here. It's well revered. It was this is, I say, what I basically stopped getting into fragrances is purely because it was so good. So we're gonna leave that there. It's kind of enough said on that. Another interesting one. I had to clean the bottle in this for like 10 minutes the other day because it was so disgusting. Maybe you can still see it. It's a big, I don't know why, it's like a fingerprint magnet. YSL La Nuit, La Homme, I believe. I blind bought this, and you can see I've actually worn this quite a bit, actually, surprisingly. I wore this at one of my last sales job the most. I've actually done a good job cleaning the bottle. It does look good. It's a lovely bottle. It's great weight to it. It's very expensive. Long story short, I bought Pure Havane because I thought I would like it, and I wore it like twice. And this was before it discontinued, before it went for silly money either, and I just didn't like it. I wore it like twice, and it's good fragrance, but it made me feel uncomfortable, and I just sold it, and I went and bought that blind, and I just loved it. I again haven't worn it in some time. Very similar. You're gonna hate me for saying this. You're gonna really hate me for saying this. Very similar to hot water. It must be said, it is very, very similar to hot water. It's better. It is you can tell the quality is way better, but it is very similar to hot water, in my opinion, after really sort of trying the two out. Now this is an interesting one. No, it's going to have to be the Spanish one. It's going to have to be. I can't do the other top two dirty. So this is number 3. Aqua Fresca. I believe, again, this is another gift from my mother, or from my father, when they last went to Spain. Sadly, my mother has passed away now, so there you go. This is importance of little things like this, in my opinion. But this was interesting. I got this and instantly smelled it. I was like, whoa. Massive grapefruit orange burst, like immediately, followed with some like wood. And it's a really sort of woody, marine-y, because you wouldn't probably have smelled this. This is quite a niche Spanish fragrance, I believe. It's an eau de toilette, but I really want to try more of this house. There was 2 fragrances recently on eBay, 2 other fragrances they do on eBay that I was looking at for a good price. A bit expensive, a bit more. They're not necessarily affordable, but they're not expensive. Not Zerjoff or anything like that. And so I looked at this, and I should have bought them, really, because I'm intrigued, because this is so good, in my opinion. One of the best fragrances I've had, and again, I've worn this quite a bit in the last year. I've worn this, particularly since moving in this flat, I've worn this quite a bit. Particularly recently, not so much, but when I first moved in here, I wore this a lot. And yeah, it's called Citrus Cedro. I don't know if I said that, sorry. I'll put a list in the description. But yeah, just a massive orangey citrus burst. Really good, and it carries that through with the wood, and it basically stays the same. I haven't worn that in a while, but really good lasting on that. I'd say 24 hours on that if I wasn't too better. Okay, so then it comes to top 2. This is new. I've really liked this. How are we on? 13 minutes. That's actually bang on what I wanted to do. I didn't want to do a 20-minute video of me ranting. So you might think this is a bit short, but if you want to see more, leave a like, please. It helps the algorithm, helps my channel. And I will cover all of these in an individual video. That was my plan, but it's just, I just thought before Christmas or whatever, I've got to probably do this. Because if this carries on to be a theme in 2025, which I hope it is, then probably next year I'll probably have a different list. Maybe some of these will stay, but I'll probably try and do a different list. Maybe. Anyway, what are you wafting about? Zino, Davidoff Zino. I got this because of my number 1, and it's made by the same perfumer that did number 1. And this piqued my interest, again, because of the Street Fighter. So currently, the Street Fighter and the Davidoff Zino, like these 2, I'd like a thumbnail of that, potentially. I might do that after the video. These 2 are my current favorites. And to be honest with you, they're both cheap. This is like 20 quid. The other Street Fighter you can get for like 20 quid. Really good. I think they both can be discontinued right now, though, which is a bit of a shame. I didn't think I'd like this one. I smelled this and instantly reminded my dad, but he said he's never worn it. I'm actually getting him a bottle for Christmas, so I've let him try a load of various different ones, and this is the one he selected as well. But got a bit of an image, people having Johnny Depp and people like that. I don't know about that. I instantly smelled something. I was like, oh, it's an old library. But I don't know if that's really sort of fair. It's got basically a really, really nice, typical. I said about Pure Havane. It's got that, but how it should be done. what I kind of expected out of Pure Havana, right? It's got like this sort of tobacco vanilla note really underneath it all, and the sort of the final dry down. But the opening apparently is like rosewood and quite floral. I don't know what it is. It's very old. It's very classical, classy and classic. I heard someone on a recent review say. I agree. I think that's really really nice. Turned into I could almost be wearing this for the next year. I'm wearing it today. Really, really like this, particularly in the sort of winter time. I don't know how it'd fare in the summer. Be interesting to know how something like that would really fare in the summer, but I've never dabbled. Right, number one. I've always had this as my sort of date fragrance. If I could wear this all the time, I would. I kind of low-key want a 200ml bottle and just to go wild with it, to be honest with you. I haven't done that. People are like, oh, batch numbers. I mean, look, I'm looking at my bottle here, and I said about the Dior bottle being catchy. I mean, this has been like since I've been in my shower. I usually would go for reach for something like this. My eau de toilette after putting deodorant on, so you can imagine you probably just got this misty shower and everything, so the bottles get minging, so this is a bit of a thing. You probably know what it is if you know what it is. It's baby bottle, actually, as well, compared to my other stuff. I've never worn it so much just because of its power. It's Dior Fahrenheit. That feels weird doing it to that way to the camera. Dior Fahrenheit, if we can get it to focus, which is not focusing. There we go. Oh, there we go, finally. I got into this because of the reviews online and the cars and the sort of gasoline and diesel smell. I mean, even smelling that now. Yeah. Yeah, number one. I mean, I was sort of thinking earlier, would I really put that above Zino? But yeah. Typically, so from like sort of my eight, I've had this probably since I was like 18, 16. This is one of my oldest ones I've had. You can see I've not used it too much, but I've typically only really worn this on date nights. Can't say really ever worked out too well for me in that regard, but it kind of we had some good success with this, I think. Definitely had some good success with this in times, actually, another thing, but we'll gloss over all the dodgy memories. But yeah, it's something that I'd love to wear this more, but it's such a, I don't think, I've said before in a video, it might have been a stream, actually, I don't think people like it. It's one of those that I really like it, and I think it smells good on me. I don't think other people that are smelling it think you smell good. I think it's more of a, because you literally do smell like a gas can to an extent. And when I was driving my like convertible MX-5, like in my early 20s, it definitely worked with it, right? It kind of worked with the car. I mean, I don't know about now. I mean, I could say you could get away with a smart car, a smart sort of Mercedes, a BMW. You could probably get away with this. But I think the typical driver, at least of the BMW, probably shouldn't wear this. I would hate this to be a chatty fragrance. Like turn into something like 1 million or something. But yeah, Dior Fahrenheit, number one. Even smelling it now, just easily wipe the floor. So I'd love a 200ml bottle and just go crazy with that. It'd be fantastic. So if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like. 18 minutes. It's a little bit longer than I wanted, but it's fine. It's kind of hard to get through all of these and not talk about them forever. So yeah, thank you very much for watching. I appreciate it. Hopefully we're not too bold going into 2025, but well, it is what it is. And maybe we get some more figures. The thing with closing notes on this, I suppose, is that I was initially looking at these as particularly from the Davidoff, is that I wanted something that's affordable that I can wear every day that isn't Fahrenheit, because Fahrenheit's quite expensive, right? So I wanted something else that I can look at that's kind of a bit more affordable, and it's not going to be breaking the bank spraying, you know, in wearing it as a daily fragrance. And that's where a lot of this has come from. Like the Chanel Egoiste, it's expensive. The Fahrenheit is expensive, and so do you really want to be? If you've got that money, that's fine. But that's why stuff like the Zino and stuff has been really good for me, and finds something I really enjoy, and it's an affordable price point. It got me looking into other fragrances by other houses, even just stuff like some people say, oh, there's a Bentley fragrance that's really good, or there's a Jaguar fragrance that's really good. And I'm sitting there looking at it like, oh, it's affordable, it's meant to be really good, but do I really want to get it for the channel? Do I really want to have that in my collection? It gets to a point where I haven't kind of gotten to that point yet. If these videos do really well in the long term, then sure, I possibly will, because it's content. But I think for now, something like the House of Davidoff really impressed me. I recently got cool water for the first time. I just got it to basically balance all the rest of them, basically, because I remember smelling it years ago and not being too wowed. It's still actually, I actually prefer it now than I do before, but yeah, cool. Thank you very much for watching. Very hard to not put something like Dracar Noir on here, but again, that's very budgety. But again, that's very notable mention, I believe, it would be the Dracar Noir and Cool Water as well. They were initially sort of 9 and 10. I was going to have them as sort of guest appearances, but then it's not really a top 10. But if you're still watching, I appreciate it. Thank you very much for watching.